Zuleika Dobson, to us, was the treasured symbol of Oxford, published in 1911. But we still had the towpath along the Isis, we still had our boathouses, sort of Victorian Rococo boathouses strung along the Isis on the left bank as you went down the river. Teddy Hall was in a boathouse, and the Teddy Hall boat had been sold somewhere. It was off in Abingdon or somewhere like that. But then Jesus College had its boat and all the others, and you could still see, people still stood in their white flannels and their blazers and their straw hats on the top deck of these boats, cheering as their boat crews went by in the bump races. The bump races were held in the autumn term, the so-called I've forgotten the name, Michaelmas, torpids, and then in the summer term, eights. And I was in the first torpid and the first eight at Teddy Hall, and so during my time at Oxford I spent most of my time on the river. Every afternoon of term from 2 o'clock until 5:30 I was on the river, and it's just gone, you know, that much time. It's huge compared to the other things like interest in the theatre, interest in work, interest in parties, interest in meeting other people. They're all small compared to the forced interest in boats you had to take when you sat with 7 other people in an 8-oared boat, and you had to be there. If you weren't, the boat couldn't go out. So it was a very onerous duty, and took up a lot of my time, which I don't remember and notice now. But anyway, Zuleika, all I remember, Max Beerbohm was a satirical writer of the pre-First World War. And he had this beautiful woman that went to Oxford and had all the undergraduates fall in love with him. And they flung themselves off the roofs of the houseboats in their scarves and blazers and straw hats and white flannel trousers, and drowned for the love of Zuleika. And it was a precious, I don't suppose it has any literary value, I'd like to read it again, but it was a precious book, and it distinguished our experience of Oxford. And the other books were Anthony Powell. They were coming out then, and we all identified with Nick, whatever his name was, the hero of Anthony Powell's novels.
Morland, I thought, was most sympathetic.
Yeah, and we all read them, and it was in the probably the beginning, middle of the outputs, in the early 50s. But we ascribed characters like Peter Stringer or whatever.
But he was the other sympathetic one, but he was a kind of wastrel type.
That was Martin Blackburn, the complementary books to Evelyn Waugh, which Evelyn Waugh's books were easy to read and get through. Anthony Powell's, you had to plunge and wade through them, but they were nonetheless a trouble. And it was Evelyn Waugh, Anthony Powell, Max Beerbohm, and I can't think of anybody else, because we weren't the kitchen sink writers were coming in then. The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner was published, I think, during my Oxford life. And I thought they were so boring, because it was my life that they were portraying. It was my working class life that they were portraying. And what I wanted to read was the romantic, upper middle class life that I missed, or was only glancing off in my days in the army as an officer and at Oxford for 3 years. So for 5 years I'd been elevated to the middle classes. So I wasn't really interested in realism. I wasn't really interested in Brain's books about the rugby player, I've forgotten the name. I wasn't interested in all that. Kitchen sink.
Except
stuff.
Lucky Jim. It wasn't kitchen sink, but we were from the same class.
Lucky Jim was hugely popular with us because Len's and my friend Len shared that room above the gatehouse with a scholar, a great scholar, Roger Brooks, from Swansea, who claimed to know on conversation terms with Kingsley Amis, because Kingsley Amis was teaching at Swansea University.